Intamin, Mach, and RMC are all known for being some of, if not the best roller coaster manufacturers ever, with their coasters topping many lists each year. But what if I told you that there's another manufacturer that is slowly starting to improve a lot and could someday rival some of the top manufacturers I mentioned earlier, or possibly even dethrone them? Well, now you're probably wondering what that manufacturer is. Well, here's a hint. This year in 2025, they opened a big new launch coaster that has caused a huge increase in attendance for the park it's in, and it's themed to fire and ice. Well, if you haven't guessed it by now, the manufacturer I'm talking about is Premier Rides, which for a while has been a very polarizing manufacturer for us roller coaster enthusiasts. There are people out there who love them and people that somehow hate them, which I don't understand how anyone could do that. I actually find Premier to be very underrated. This includes newer coasters like Icebreaker and Skyrocket, the older Spaghetti Bowl coasters, and even the Skyrocket 2s. Yes, I said it, I actually really like the Skyrocket 2s. The one Premier model I actually find to be pretty overrated is the backlot stunt coaster clones, but that's a topic for another video. But back to the Skyrocket 2s, they have a very good mix of forces and they are strong too. I know a common complaint is that they're short, but besides that, I really don't know what isn't to like about them. Another very common complaint with Premier is the trains. And I definitely agree that most other manufacturers do offer better trains, but I still don't think these ones are bad at all. Unless they have comfort collars, which definitely do take away from the ride experience. But as long as they don't, I would definitely take them over vest trains from like B&M or Vekoma. And even besides the Skyrocket 2s, I just feel like Premier makes really good layouts. Take something like Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando for example. It fits in a relatively small space and it's actually meant to be a family thrill coaster. But it ends up having some very strong forces that really make me question if it's even a family coaster or not. There's also Skyrocket at Kennywood, which has two great drops and a crazy zero G roll that feels straight off a new Premier coaster that I will talk about later in this video. Another great thing with Premier is that from what I've heard, they are pretty cheap, especially compared to other manufacturers. For example, Full Throttle was rumored to cost only around $6 million, which, if this is true, then that's crazy considering how big of a roller coaster it is. For reference, a roller coaster like Gatekeeper at Cedar Point, which is very similar in size and opened in the same exact year, costs about $25 million, which is a very big difference. I can't imagine why any park would rather buy from a manufacturer like B&M these days, when they are also a lot more expensive. Not to mention, ever since Premier came out with the Skyrocket models, their roller coasters have been easily some of the smoothest out there, but you really can't say the same about B&M anymore. And if all of this wasn't enough, Premier actually seems to be pretty reliable. You don't usually see extended closures with Premier coasters like you do with Intamins, Zamperlas, and even sometimes RMCs. I have had a few unique experiences with Premiers where either they close for half the day or even the whole day, but those are just some of my weird experiences. Most people seem to have much better luck with them than I do sometimes. I feel like yet another common complaint with Premier rides is that they only make slightly above average coasters. I actually do have to kind of agree on this, because when you compare the roller coasters they've made versus the ones from the manufacturers I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Premier definitely falls flat when it comes to just how good their roller coasters are and how high they rank for most people. That was until 2025 when they officially opened Alpen Fury at Canada's Wonderland. This coaster is big for Premier. This is the roller coaster that will make other parks decide to work with them instead of something like B&M or Vekoma. And Alpen Fury is a huge crowd pleaser, which might sound a little bit weird because of how intense it is, but even with a B&M Giga and Hyper in the same park, it still managed to be the most popular coaster there. And I know that part of that is because it's new, but it does show that park guests would still rather wait 2 or more hours for Alpen Fury than only wait about an hour for something like Leviathan and Behemoth. I'm also pretty sure that the second half of the season at Canada's Wonderland was significantly busier because of Alpen Fury opening, and then of course the gold passes. Also, another quick thing that Alpen Fury improved on, besides the layout, is the trains. Not only is it just a lap bar with no seatbelt or comfort collars, but you also have a good amount of more room than the older Premier trains. Because of all this, I think the future is very bright for Premier rides. I really don't think it'll take too long before we see more of their launch coasters opening up across the world. So, I'm going to quickly be talking about which parks I could see one of these going to. Well, one park that I think is very likely is Carowinds, because they actually had it on a survey that they sent out to pass holders not too long ago. Another park it would work well at is Hershey Park, because they currently don't have any kind of multi-launch roller coaster. And since Hershey Park is my favorite park I've ever been to, I would love to see something like this get added here. They could put it in the Chocolate Town area behind Canyumonium, and then I think it would be not even a question for what park has the best roller coaster collection in the world, because it would easily be Hershey Park. Another thing that I could see Premier doing is branching out more and offering more models, because right now they really just have their Skyrocket launch coasters. I know they did make Crazy Crab at Steel Pier in New Jersey, which is a spinning wild mouse, but I don't know if they're really going to want to make many more of those, because that might have even just been a deal that the park got, because they're also getting a Skyrocket 2 from Premier. But I could definitely see them coming out with a more modernized family coaster that could even have custom layouts. I know a few years back, they actually made a concept for a family inverted boomerang at Slagharen in the Netherlands, so if they could bring something like that back, that would be really cool. So what do you think the future is for Premier rides? And what do you think of their coasters? Comment down below, and if you enjoyed this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.